Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with Ask Dave. And the question is a loaded one, probably the toughest anyone's ever asked. Why do you love classical music so much? Oh dear. How do we answer that? Well, let's start with the question was motivated by this and the random reviews from the overflow room and the fact that I have been motivated to collect so much stuff over the years and suck up everything I possibly could, about classical music and music more generally. And the answer to that is don't let the quantity of CDs fool you. That's just obsessive compulsive disorder. It has nothing to do with music. So let's just get that out of the way right now. Why do I love classical music? Well, let me put it to you this way. Here we go. Let's start off with this. I don't care whether it's classical or not. I just love music, period. All kinds of music. The music I happen to talk about is classical music, and there's a reason for that. The reason I fell into classical music is because I liked particularly music without words. I liked abstract music in large forms. And that means classical music because there is no other kind. There really is. I mean, yes, there are extended jazz improvs and solos like that can go on for days and whatnot. But if you like a kind of music in large forms without words, that means the classical music world, because that's where that music is. And how I fell into that is kind of interesting. And it has to do with just, what your constitution is, right? What you're prepared to absorb. Ever since I was a little kid, I loved abstract art. I mean, before I got into music, I loved abstract paintings. When I was young, and I hope you'll stick with me for these stories because that's what it is. It's an anecdotal thing. I was a sick kid and had to get allergy shots. Sometimes I think a couple times a week, but at least once a week. And my mother would drive me into New Haven, and we'd go to my allergist. His name was Dr. Weiner. He was actually a relative. He was related to my father's father. He was by marriage, and he was about 90-something, and he was deaf, and he had a hearing aid attached to his stethoscope, and he was the last person in the Western Hemisphere to use sterilizable syringes. And he had an assistant named Mrs. Rudnick, who was about as old as he was, and we'd sit there in his office, and you'd see the big vat of syringes, glass syringes being sterilized, and he would give me my shots. And as a reward for sitting through it, we would do one of two or three things. In New Haven, there was stuff to do because Yale University is in New Haven, you see. So they have wonderful facilities that are open to the public. And there was also a parked Navy destroyer in New Haven Harbor that you could go on and visit. We did that a few times after I got my shots. But most of the time, what we would do on special days was go to either the Peabody Museum, which is the natural history museum that had the giant Tyrannosaurus Rex thing. I mean, if you're a kid, it's fabulous. And fluorescent rocks, you could push the button and they light up. Oh my God, it was wonderful. It's all being renovated, or it's just been renovated, and I'm dying to see what it looks like in its new configuration. But I spent countless happy moments at the Peabody Museum of Natural History on Whitney Avenue. And then the other great visit was the Yale Art Gallery, because Yale has an absolutely perfect, small but choice collection of great art. And one of my all-time favorite things that they had was a Jackson Pollock. I just thought it was the coolest thing in the world. I really did. When I was in kindergarten, we were given, or first grade. No, it's first grade. We were given a project to take crayons and draw a picture of something. We had to draw a picture of something, and I, of course, took all kinds of colored crayons and just did this. And the teacher came up to me and said, "What the hell are you doing?" And I just looked at her and I said, "It's abstract art." So that was, my mother had explained to me what abstract art was when I was about 5, and I was totally into it. And the reason was because it allowed me to use my imagination, to be part of it. I was so bored by somebody taking a picture of something and showing me the something. My thinking was, who cares about the picture? I can just look at it myself. It's the same thing. What difference does it make? I mean, portraits, there are other people. I had no interest in representational art. I wanted to see color and shape and line and to be able to engage with it. You engage with abstract art in a way that you don't with something that's representational, because the representation is telling you what it is, and it defines the limits of your engagement, whereas abstract art doesn't. So music in large forms, classical music, was abstract art, even though the paradox is that although it's abstract, although it doesn't tell you what it's about, you feel it. You feel what it's about, and that directs your engagement with the thing as art. And that was a process that I just adored. I just loved. I didn't know what it was. I couldn't describe it the way I'm describing it now. I don't know if I'm still describing it now, but that's what it was. I mean, my first piece, I've talked about this many times, that really blew me away was Beethoven's Pastoral Symphony. Because there was a picture on the cover of Bruegel's The Harvesters, and I asked my mother what pastoral meant. She said, look at the picture and play the music, and wow, that was it. I mean, that did it for me, because I heard what the picture was, but I didn't have to be told. I mean, no one had to tell me anything, and I began to realize that music is a language, but the nifty thing about this language, the way it communicates, is that it communicates simply through sound, and it tells you what it is while you listen to it. And you don't need any preliminaries. I mean, I guess I was lazy, because there's a directness to listening to abstract music. It just feeds directly into your emotional reservoir without any mediation. And that immediacy, the visceral emotional quality of the music just blew me away, along with its abstract nature, the fact that no one was telling me what it was that I had to feel. All I know is that I felt it. And that just, it fascinated me. It still does. I mean, the mechanism is amazing. I've been thinking about it for forever. I mean, one of the things I think that also amazes me about classical music is that, music generally, not just classical music, but music generally, and classical music particularly because it's big, it's larger, classical music is one of the only fields where the artist is working with time. The constructive material of music at its essence is time. I mean, that's what John Cage discovered when he wrote 4 minutes and 33 seconds and challenged us to consider, to contemplate that when you take all the other stuff away from music, the rhythm and the color and the instruments and all that stuff, what are you left with? You're left with a chunk of time. That's what music is. And it reveals itself as motion through time. And another sort of paradoxical quality about it is that, musical structure, musical form, a large piece of music it's real. I mean, what it does as it's playing is real. It's a real, tangible thing, but it's also intangible because it has no atomic substance. There isn't any. It's not made of matter. It's made of time. And I think maybe one of the reasons that we get, just generally speaking now, that we get so involved in it is that it takes time from us. That's our commitment. That's the piece of us that goes with the music. It's that willingness to give up time to join with the work of art as it's being revealed to us as a function of passing time. And there isn't anything else like that. I mean, nothing else does it. I don't think we have any other way in human experience beyond music of coming face to face with time as the fourth dimension, time in motion. I mean, and great music can suspend time. It can make it pass very quickly. It's very subjective, of course, in how it affects us. But what we're hearing is time, and there's something about it that makes it so. It says something about reality, the nature of the universe. I don't want to be pompous about it, but it's mysterious on the one hand, but on the other hand, it's real. It's so real It's amazing. So that, for me, that kind of experience is most vivid when listening to classical music. So that was another reason why I just went nuts over it. I mean, I'm still, it's a constant discovery and sort of contemplation of your essential being and emotional, force. And I don't know. It's hard to describe. You have to listen to it, right? That's why I keep saying, keep on listening. That's it. Then the third thing I need to talk about is also the idea of entertainment. Now, we've had arguments back and forth and back and forth and back and forth about the fact that I say that classical music is just entertainment. And it is. And I maintain that. I don't give a shit about whether it's cultural or it's this or it's that. It's high entertainment or low entertainment. I don't think there is any more noble impulse than creating entertainment for people. I really don't. I think the idea that people sneer at things because they're just entertainment. How dare you say classical music is just entertainment? That is such snobbery. That's all it is. It's intellectual crap and snobbery and elitist nonsense. We have, Haydn said it best. Haydn wrote a beautiful letter about the creation when it was performed on some island off of Denmark or something. And they sent him a letter saying they did it and everyone loved it. And it was great. And he wrote the most beautiful letter. He said, often when I was, beset with distractions and forces that seek to derail my creative work, I thought to myself, Haydn said, we have so little here. Our time here is short. Life is full of misery and care. And isn't it just amazing that I can do something that can help my fellow creatures forget about all of that and just take some refreshment from what I have to offer? That motivated me to keep on going. And your letter has motivated me to keep on going. I think it's just a wonderful letter. But that's what he's saying. What could be more important than not having to worry about the quotidian misery of feeding your face, paying your insurance, dealing with taxes, handling your families, the kids, the pets, whatever it is? It gives you something to do what I just said, to come face to face with the fourth dimension, to experience emotion directly. That's entertainment. All entertainment does that. There's no better or worse or anything. It's one of the greatest creations of the human mind, of the intellect, of what it is to be a person. The fact that we can sit and enjoy entertainment. We all do it at a level. I mean, even my cat, she plays fetch constantly. She always wants to be entertained when she's not eating or sleeping. And because she's been fixed, she's not going to be making more little cats. So the idea that we can take time to simply just enjoy something wonderful. And that's what classical music is for me. But it's not more wonderful than all the other things we do to enjoy. I mean, I watch Perry Mason reruns, the old ones in black and white. It's just as enjoyable. It's not the same experience, but as entertainment, the value is the same. And I really feel very strongly about that. I think we should not denigrate or disdain our capacity to simply enjoy something, to be entertained, and it's one of the greatest joys in life. And if the entertainment is classical music, great. If it isn't, great, as long as it's there in some form. But classical music for me is a very special form of entertainment, a very special type, one that has given me more delight than any other type throughout my life, and that's why I'm so hooked on it. And I hope that this sort of explains where I'm coming from on this, and maybe it will resonate with some of you. And I'm sure all of you, or many of you, will have your own reasons for loving it so much, whatever they are, and please feel free to share them. I'd be delighted to know what they are. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks so much for joining me. Take care.